Good morning. It's Continued Momentum Monday.
Welcome to another episode of Espresso with Aaron and Sarit. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Sarit.
And today we're going to be talking about intermittent fasting. Should I do it or should I not? So how this question came up is we run a program that's called the Raw Transformation Program. And every week we have a Q&A. And this was one of the questions that somebody asked. And I was like, what an amazing question to talk to everybody about. So because there's, all these different programs, intermittent fasting, keto, Whole30, paleo, Weight Watchers, Atkins, South Beach. I'm getting old school with the Atkins but because there's so many things, we all see transformations from these programs. Like, oh, Susie did this and she got amazing results, so I should probably do that because I want those results. By the way, if you hear some pounding in the background, we are currently in an Airbnb, but because we're so committed to showing up here for you, the show must go on. And so today we want to dive into what are the good things, potentially great things, potentially not so great things about intermittent fasting so that you can make an educated decision for yourself, whether or not it's something that's for you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get to it. So,
I'm curious to know, actually, because we're doing this live. So in the chat, from you guys who would consider doing it, like, why would you consider doing it? First of all. Okay, now you go.
Yeah, so I'll tell you that, I want to share a couple of things. The first thing that I want to share, as somebody who struggled with my own body image and with my weight and how I felt about myself, one way that made me feel better about myself, like emotionally and spiritually, was feeling like I have control. So, it gives you this sense of control in a sense of like, when are feeding times and when there are fasting times. And I also believe that, aside from intermittent fasting, that's why people love meal plans. That's why I, like in the past, I used to do like calorie counting, all these things. And, if you're anything like how I used to be, perhaps you take this level of control to another level, especially if you feel like there are other areas of your life that perhaps where things are falling apart. It's like you grab on to this thing that you still have control over even more. So I think that is one benefit, and the benefit of giving you control, which gives you a way to create your just emotional beingness and, like confidence in yourself. And that's why with regards to anything that gives you control, people feel really good about it until things start to slow down or stop, because you start to question everything when you have control and you're not seeing the fruits of your labor. You start to wonder, does this thing work? The voices that you've had in your ears, maybe these voices are right. Maybe the things that other people used to say about me are right. On and on and on it goes. I'm sharing this from my own personal experience and where I've come from. And what was the question again?
Well, I didn't know what you were going to say. I just asked them what would be the reason why they would want to do it in the first place. Actually, have you done intermittent fasting before? Because people say that it's the way to drop weight faster, because that's how our body wants to work, like cavemen. It helps hormones. Okay. It's a control thing. Okay. So, again, the next question is then, where's this information coming from? So just like us, you can take what we say at face value and you can believe it, and then you can go implement on it, or you could question what we have to say. Either way, I encourage that you question things and you go do your own research, but it is important to look behind who's giving you the information. So the first thing is, I would say, as a general rule, actually, let's get to like general principles at the end. Some of the good things.
I want to know from you, like, why would you want to do it? Because I was just thinking about a couple more things of why I would want to do it.
I don't want to do it. That's the truth.
Sure, I don't either.
But if I look at me from like when I started my journey, like 15 plus years ago, if intermittent fasting was a well-known type of thing at that point, I would have looked at before and after photos and I would have been like, I want that, so I'm going to do that.
What I was going to say next is, if I like back the old me, right now I know how to think for myself, right? But like back then, a reason for me to do that would be because I hear everybody talking about it.
Yeah, there must be something good about it if everybody's
like follow the herd.
Okay. I mean,
because a lot of people do it because I feel like I want a better sense of control with regards to what I'm eating, because it's going to make me feel good about myself.
Yeah, I don't think I would think that far. I would just say, obviously they got results, so let me do it. So some of the great things, especially I'm speaking from a lot of experience from things that I've tried, because I've tried similar things. It wasn't called intermittent fasting. It was just me trying to starve myself. And I've also spoken with a lot of people in our community that have tried it. And the thing that is really cherished about it is the hope that somebody has when doing that program, that they're going to get great results. The structure, that very clear structure that comes with that program or that way of eating, it's very obvious. It's like, eat in this window, don't eat in this window. That's it. Everything else is fair game. It does give you control. Mm-hmm. Like you talked about, you feel like you're in control. Another thing that I wrote down is the kind of like feel good about it. Like the feel good kind of goes with the hope and the structure together. Like it makes me feel good because I'm doing something that I really believe is going to work. And you do see, usually, a lot of people see some short-term results. Some of the downsides to it, can we talk to downsides? Some of the downsides to it are going to be, if your body stalls out or if you plateau and you don't know why, you don't know what went wrong, what do you do to solve that problem? Most of the time we'll go back to our way of eating that we had before, which completely defeats the purpose. I wrote sustainability. It's a huge one, and when we get to like the overall general principles, I'll say why that's a method I wouldn't recommend. But also, if you are an obsessive type personality, it could lead to disordered eating patterns and obsession, and then unhealthy mental and emotional relationship with food.
Mm-hmm. Like food is bad.
Yeah. And it also doesn't address the quality of food at all. So if my feeding window is, between 12 p.m. and 8 p.m., I don't know if whatever the windows are, I think there's different things. But if that's my feeding window and all I ate were donuts, would I really still lose weight? Would anybody say that that's necessarily healthy? So there's not a lot of other structure when it comes to the quality or quantity of food. All we're doing is simply reducing the amount of time that you get to eat. But if you're eating a lot of food that is nutrient poor, meaning it has a lot of calories, a lot of energy, but not a lot of nutrition, a lot of processed food, chips, donuts, cookies, ice cream, Pop-Tarts, whatever, then you can for sure still eat the same amount that you would have eaten in the entire day. It just happens in a shorter amount of time. So it kind of defeats the purpose from a weight loss perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I want to talk about the different like buckets that I would explain the downsides that may come with intermittent fasting. And I would love to know, for those of you guys in the chat, who in here has a family? Drop an F. If you're single, go ahead and drop an S. So if you have a family, go ahead and drop an F. And if you're single, go ahead and drop an S. And the first thing that I want to touch on, which I don't think is rarely ever talked about, if at all, is the relational and the familial component. That restriction with regards to the timing of food can actually take away from one of the most crucial bonding moments of a family in a given day. I'm going to give you an example. Okay. Let's say, the eating window that you've been prescribed or told or whatever is 5 p.m. Now, let's say your kids don't come home from soccer until like 5:30, or your spouse doesn't get in the door until like 6 or 6:30, and normally you guys eat dinner at 7 p.m. Then now, even if you were to sit at the table when everybody is eating dinner, the experience for the entire family won't be the same. So the first implication that I see is actually taking away from, the bonding and the connection of the family unit, which I believe is super crucial. Like, with regards to us, granted, it's only the two of us, like our thing is we love to eat dinner together and we love to converse together. And, we actually had this conversation like a couple days ago, that we like to close the day together and we like to go to bed together. And, one of the things that Erin said is, even on days where I feel like I'm, wrapping up my day, before you, I continue to do work because I know that I want to eat dinner with you. Like, the act of eating as a familial experience is absolutely crucial. So, even if you're just there, when you're not doing the same activity, it's not the same.
I would argue that crucial is an aggressive word,
Sure.
But absolutely something, and this is just my own opinion, absolutely something that does bring value to the bonding experience of a family. And, when we talk about intermittent fasting, we're talking about extended periods of not eating. So we all kind of intermittent fast if you're not getting up in the middle of the night to grab a snack.
Sure.
So, okay, if you eat dinner even like at 8 p.m., you don't eat again until the morning. You have fasted for the whole time you were sleeping, right? Now, we're talking about an extended window of time. I think the normal is 16 hours and 8, yeah. 16 off and 8 hours on.
Yeah.
So, the other thing about that is,
and it's normally like done, if anything, like before 7 p.m., 16 hours off, 8 hours on, something like that.
Either way, people do it different ways. But here's why I don't prefer it. Here's one of my ground rules for anybody that comes into our community who has ever struggled with not staying consistent with good nutrition, who has not stayed consistent with good nutrition, meaning you've tried this thing, you've tried that thing, you've tried that thing, you've tried that thing, and you always seem to kind of fall off the wagon. Here's why I do not recommend it. One of our core philosophies and principles about weight loss and body transformation is if it's not something that you can legitimately see yourself doing for the rest of your life, do not start there. Do not start there. And now you're saying, well, I didn't start there. I started with Weight Watchers. And then I did keto. And then if you are still starting over, you're still starting there. So that's what I mean by starting there. Okay. If you, several of the people who come into our community have lost weight and then regained it, some several times, some dozens of times. And so if that's been the pattern, then for one, I'm extremely excited that you're here because I know that we have the tools and the resources and the guidance to be able to help you break that. But it is extremely difficult to go into another program that's extreme. Here's the deal. I created the other day, okay, we have some really fun things coming for you guys in the near future. All I will say is, regardless of how much you may or may not feel we have abused your email in the past, things change, and we're going to be sending a lot of really cool stuff via email only. So keep an eye on your email. Okay. That's a side note. But I was recording a video for a program that we used to do live, and it may or may not be happening on demand. And I was recording a video, and I thought of this concept for the first time ever. Now, I've always had it in my head, but I actually put a visual to it. The wheel of transformation. Mm-hmm. The wheel of transformation. And it's really flipping cool. Okay, so this whole wheel, I'm not going to draw it right now because if I drew on the walls, the Airbnb owner probably wouldn't be super excited about it, but I would have fun. So the wheel of transformation is essentially, instead of, I want to ask you, when you first think about...
Can I say that I love how we're going off of tangents? Because then I'm going to take it.
Yeah, great. We're not talking about intermittent fasting anymore. Done. No, we are. But I'm
going to get back to it.
We are. So here's the deal. I want to know from you, when you think about, so you wake up, you're like, it's like Sunday morning and you're like, well, I have done and shit the bed this weekend and I need to get back on track. And tomorrow's the day, Monday morning. Tomorrow's the day. I'm going to meal prep today. I'm going to get all my stuff. I'm going to make sure I finish the ice cream tonight because I don't want it in the house. I know. I've been there. Okay. No shame. But finish the ice cream nonetheless. And then you're like, I'm going to get it done. What is the first thing that comes to your mind in the how to? What are you going to do on Monday morning and for the next week, at least, in order to start losing weight? I want to hear from you guys. And I'm going to pop them up on the little screen here.
And then I'm going to get back to it.
What do you do? I'm almost finished.
Yeah.
By the way, Sari and I did the CrossFit Open workout.
Yeah, who did it?
Okay,
I see your name is
I got you. I got you off with those. Thanks. So wake up on time. Who else? Come on, guys. Hit me. Eat better and work out. Exercise. Run. First thing every day. What else? What else do we do? Oh, workout. First thing. Okay. Not eating crap food, especially on my first meal. Heaven forbid it go all downhill from there if the first one doesn't get right. Get up, exercise, eat right. Thank you for your participation. This is amazing. Okay. Get back to clean eating. I would clear out the high carb, sugary foods and do the damn thing. Get to the gym at least twice this week. I love it. Okay. Drink water. Beautiful. Do you notice a congruent nature between all of these answers? They fall under two categories. Actually, they fall under three categories. Someone threw hydration in there. But nutrition and exercise, movement and food. Okay, good start. Okay, only one person knows what that means right now. Only one person knows. Well, we can share it. Okay, so here's the wheel of transformation. If you have a pizza, who only wants 2 fucking slices of pizza? Come on. I'm eating the whole pie if I'm having pizza. Okay, so movement and nutrition. But what else makes up you? hydration. Somebody said, okay, what else makes up you? Your schedule, your work environment, your home environment, your family's preferences, your preferences, the people at work, what you watch, what you listen to, how you think about yourself, what you believe about yourself, all of these.
Your neighborhood.
Your neighborhood.
Who listened to yesterday's pocket coaching?
Hold on.
Drop
Before you go onto a tangent, I have to finish my tangent. So you have all of these things in the wheel of transformation. If you are a whole person, you can't just treat the food and the movement.
It's true.
You can't just focus on eating and working out. Everything else needs to be addressed. So if the engine blows up, you can't be like, well, I think I just need an oil change, right? I don't really know because I don't really know cars, but I don't think the car would work if the engine blew up and you just were like, let me change the oil, right? It's only one component of the big picture. So the reason why, and here I go back to the bottom line, I go on tangents, but I'm great at getting back on track. So the reason why this is important is because when we do something like intermittent fasting, we are not addressing anything except for the food. And it's not even quality of food. It is only the time that we are eating for.
That's wrong.
So it's extremely restrictive. You don't get to live the rest of your life. Come on, hello. Like, you don't ever want to eat pizza again. Hello, you don't ever want to eat after 9 p.m. or have a drink, heaven forbid, outside of your window. Like, okay. And I don't mean this to be like, I'm getting really like in your face right now. I mean this as though I'm talking to the me of several years ago. Like, hello, girl. Like, you don't ever want to have fun again outside of your window that you're allowed to eat in. And I also feel like a child, like you're allowed to eat here, but you're not allowed to eat there. You know, when I was doing a figure competition, people would ask me, are you allowed to eat this? I said, bitch, I'm allowed to eat what I want. I'm making the choice to not eat those things. But if I'm really being honest, deep down, I told myself the same thing. You're not allowed to eat that. And then like, who wants to do that anyways? Okay, so I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done until I'm not.
I want to share a couple of things and then I want to share with you guys a story.
Does that make sense? Okay.
Are you guys enjoying this? If you're enjoying this, like drop a smiley face in the chat. Would love to know.
I'm enjoying this. I'm dropping a smiley.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked about the familial side. So now some of you guys dropped an S for single. So for all of my single peeps out there.
All the single ladies.
Listen, I mean, unless it's like a Sunday morning or a Sunday afternoon, or maybe like Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, like, you know, let's say if you want to go out dating, right? Like even for a latte, if in the case that, you know, like you don't drink because you want to keep it low key before you decide on. I've heard this from people who do online dating that first date, you go to get coffee because you're not sure if you'll want to spend as much time
a whole meal
throughout an entire meal with the person. So even if it's just for a latte, whether it is a turmeric latte or a Starbucks latte, like
not allowed.
Like you're not allowed to do that. So I mean, water dates. So here's why the allowed thing comes into place, because with things like intermittent fasting or with things like keto, it's these laws rather than guidelines for choices. You are not allowed to go on a date beyond 6 p.m. because God forbid you have some, whether it's almond milk, oat milk, or whatever milk beyond your time, then can't happen. And what do we do when we feel like we've broken the law? Whether it's because we oversped on a highway or whether it's because we had a sip of a latte. No, I believe that nobody likes to break the law unless you're that type of person who just does it all the time, because it makes you get inside your head. So this is not just for those who are married or for those with families, that, I believe that it can definitely take away an element from the family piece, but also for the single peeps in the house, like, I believe that it's going to take away from a huge social component. Now, it can be also a very good test to see how supportive that person would be. If you're like, hey, I know we're going out on a coffee date, but here's the deal. Tonight, I'm only having water. Are you going to be supportive or not? So that could be a fast track to see if, that person could potentially be supportive. I'm just kidding. Okay, so that's the first element of the social and familial. Okay, now the second part, I want to talk about the physiological implications. In terms of weight loss,
I just thought of a really good topic.
Nice. In terms of weight loss, do note that when you're taking away timing from feeding your body, you will eventually start slowing down your metabolism. Unless you have like a crazy high muscle mass, then that process will be delayed, because when you have muscles, you're literally like a metabolic machine. So, however, when you're no longer at the point of weight loss, So from a physiological component, yes, you could see results at the beginning. Eventually, it's only a matter of time till things are going to start slowing down. So, that's just something to know. And then from a behavioral component, something to talk about is when things start slowing down, like, does intermittent fasting coach you about anything around that? I'll tell you something. Whether it's intermittent fasting, whether it's keto, whether it's zone, whether it's whatever you want to call it, what is not often talked about is that 95% of what you'll be able to accomplish beyond that, time frame is what's between your ears. It's what's between your ears. Like, for example, you can have 500 people go through the same program. Why is it that not everybody gets the same results? And yes, I understand everybody's got different epigenetics. I get it. But why is that? Because not everybody is willing to persevere the longest time. And then we also have to take into that the physiological components that go around it. And that's why, shameless plug, I love our programs, because we marry the physiological with the behavioral, multiply that with a sense of community to make it fun, and you become unstoppable.
Physical and mental, I was going to say mental, emotional.
Yeah.
Physical, mental, and emotional. And the other thing that I thought about, which is also the topic, is to be just very compassionately honest. Most people do not have the willpower to do intermittent fasting correctly or consistently. So it almost just has a worse impact than any of the potential benefits that you could get if you're not consistent, or if your mind isn't right about how to go into it or out of it. So, like I said a while ago, if being consistent has been something that you've struggled with for a long time, intermittent fasting is not going to be the best option for you, because there's a reason why you haven't been consistent. And most of the time when we take things away, we want them more. So in a lot of the programs that we do, we don't immediately just start by taking stuff away. We start by saying, where are we at? Let's just kind of track what we're already doing and figure out what's the next step forward. And sometimes it's adding something in that by default, you end up making the decision on your own without being told to remove some of the bad habits. I'm curious to know from you guys, who has actually started doing things better, whether it is, just in your lifestyle habits, your eating habits, your fitness habits, or your workout habits, that you've done on your own accord. You were not instructed, you were not coached, to do those things by one of our coaches. You just took it upon yourself because maybe you are coaching with one of our coaches in the Raw or the Inner Circle or something, and one of your coaches gave you an instruction. And because you had that instruction, you took it upon yourself to go improve yourself in another way. Because when you implement the right changes, there's a different intention. It's not strictly vain. Now, don't get me wrong. I like to look good, sexy, just as much as anybody else wants to look good, sexy. Okay. Yeah. Sexy looking naked good. Okay. You know what I mean? Look sexy naked. Okay. So that's not bad. I want you to look sexy naked if that's your goal. Okay. And nobody should tell you that there's anything wrong with that. Now, if that's the only goal, then it's a shallow goal. So that doesn't mean that you're a bad person, you're shallow, that's not what I'm saying. It's surface level. Mm-hmm. It doesn't go deep, which means you won't go very far. The intention is much better fulfilled when it is deeper. So a lot of people just think like, oh, I want to look good because I want to get rid of these saddlebags. I need to lose weight because I have this spare tire. I want to get rid of this weight because my arm waves 3 times when I shake my hand. But it is so surface level that we don't get very far because we don't take it to the next step that says, why does that matter to me? So what I want you to do, actually, this is a good tool for you. We've talked in our community a lot about finding your why. Simon Sinek has a great book on it, Start With Why. It's the intention, it's the purpose, and it needs to be deep to be effective. And so if you say, okay, I want to get rid of my spare tire, the next question you ask yourself is not why. I used to say this. He's like, why? Why does that matter? What you can say instead is, but so what? So what? For what? Like, why does it matter? Who cares? Because then you're like, well, I care because it leads to something else. Okay. But then what? Like, just going deeper and going deeper and going deeper, because there's a difference between willpower and habit, and you can't build a habit if you're not consistent.
Let's go.
Willpower, you fight it. Willpower has a battery life. It runs out every day. Sometimes a battery doesn't even start at 100%. If you're tired, if you had a bad day, if you're emotional, like your battery gets sucked dry, your willpower battery is dead. And every time you use your willpower, it uses battery life. So when you pass the break room and you say no to the donuts, your willpower battery just got less. So if you have a habit, like I have built a habit of working out, and even on the days I don't feel like, how amazing would it be if you didn't feel like working out, but you did it no matter what? You just always did it. Even if you didn't feel like it, you knew, you're like bulletproof. You're like, I'd just do it anyways. And it's fine. That's a habit. What's that quote? You don't rise to the level of your something, you fall
to the level of your systems,
your standards, your systems, your habits. Essentially, you're more likely when you fall, because we all fall, we all mess up, we all have a pizza night, we all eat a pint of Ben and Jerry's. It happens. But how far you fall is determined by the level of habits that you've created, the systems that you've created, the environment that you've created for yourself. We are more likely to fall to where our habits have been built than we are to rise to what our aspirations are.
So
because
true.
we all mess up. We all mess up. It's inevitable. We're human. We make mistakes. We make bad decisions. We get emotional. We binge eat, whatever. And so intermittent fasting is one of those things that, like, you are solely relying on your willpower for so much of the beginning of it, that if you don't make it through, then you've not really done a good service to yourself if you have had a history of being inconsistent with your food, your workouts, your weight loss journey, losing weight, gaining weight. Make sense?
And, you know, like it is then really easy to get inside your head, because when you see that so many people do that, it's hard to not get to a point of you comparing yourself to others. Like, oh my gosh, like I know so-and-so who has done this well. And then like, I haven't even been doing it for 5 days. And why am I the one messing up? So,
And then what happens?
So then when you get to that, unless you have intentionally built your willpower, and that comes with a lot of time, thought habits, and effort and intentionality, then most likely self-sabotage is going to follow, unless you've trained your way out of self-sabotage. And by the way, this is what we do in our programs. Like, we train you through overcoming self-sabotage. As a matter of fact, I want to share with you guys.
Who wants to get leaner? I mean, me. I feel like, okay, this is my own personal opinion and a made up statistic in my own head. Okay. 99% of all women, regardless of how fit you are, want to be fitter and leaner.
Accurate.
Or look better to themselves in some way. Okay. Yes. Me, 100%, always leaner. Me.
Yeah.
Me. Okay. We've been doing a lot of really cool things for you guys. And there's so much coming up. I actually, over the last 2 days, made like 3 incredible resources. And I asked on our Facebook group, like, what do you guys need? What do you want? I'm making them. I'm making things, and it's really cool and amazing. And you're going to get them if you keep an eye on your email. But there's also a thing that we have for you starting tomorrow.
Yeah. So if you haven't already, tomorrow we're hosting a 4 steps to becoming a lean machine event, and you'd want to RSVP so that you can get all of the notifications and the communications that we're going to have over the next 4 days with regards to that. So in order for you to do that, all you have to do is simply text the word lean, LEAN, to 910-593-4899.
Oh,
so that we can notify you.
I got it.
Okay. And I want to share with you guys a quick story.
Good story.
Yeah, it is good. It's vulnerable, so it's not easy for me to share it. I gotta be honest. This morning? Yes, I'm way inside my head today. I am way inside my head today, you guys. Like, does it ever happen to you?
Happens to everybody.
And it's happening to me for a number of reasons. Okay.
Hold on, before you go forward, I want to point out the good side of being inside your head.
Okay.
You wouldn't be inside your head if you didn't give a shit.
You're right.
Every superpower can also have a kryptonite. Like, every superhero has a kryptonite. And I also believe that there are 2 sides to every coin. So you're inside your head. You've been inside your head. I know. And the reason for that is because you care. Because you want better for yourself. And that is amazing. Let's not forget that part.
Let's not forget that part. And let's also talk about, like, how our expectations can really sabotage us when we don't know how to manage our mind. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Me of a couple years ago, it is 11:11 right now. 11:11, make a wish. Okay. So me of a couple years ago, having gone through my defeat from this morning, would have led to self-sabotage, hands down. Like, and it is only
Nutella.
And it is only 11. That's right. I told you my story this morning of how I self-sabotage. So for anybody who doesn't know, it is currently the CrossFit Open. Okay. And it is basically an annual measure of fitness of, like, where everybody who, trains in that specific way, if you're in the underground training club, right? Like, that is the training that we do all year. And, for the next 3 weeks, we get to put ourselves through the test with literally the fittest community on earth, like against the fittest people on earth. And the reason why I do it is because for me, I like to measure where I'm at in my life with regards to every life bucket, professionally, fitness wise, health wise, all of that. So for me, it's a form of measurement. And that's why I do the CrossFit Open. And, I can't speak for you. I can only speak for myself. So if you want, you can share your side later. However, I had an expectation from, how I think I operate going into this workout. Does that sound familiar? Like, you go into a program,
or like how you were going to perform?
Yeah. And, like, you expect for yourself to maybe like drop a couple amount of weight,
a couple of
pounds,
look naked, sexy, good.
So for me, I had an expectation of, okay, I'm gonna get this number of reps, and I did at least 20 reps worse than I had expected myself to. So I'm inside my head today because I had an expectation. Now, the truth is that I'm not self-sabotaging now. A couple years ago, when this happened, I would have self-sabotaged because
you couldn't manage your emotions.
Because I couldn't manage my emotions. So yes, I'm still feeling emotional about it because I care and because I expect for myself to do better. However, at this point in time, my willpower and my discipline is greater. By the way, we're going to be talking about that at the 4 steps to becoming a lean machine. So that's not going to break me. However, it doesn't mean that I don't feel a little like defeated about it in this moment. You know what I mean? So I share this with you because I believe that when you've overgone these circumstances your entire life, I don't believe that they ever go away. I just believe that you get to be better with regards to how you manage it when it happens. So whenever I feel defeated, like back in the day, and this is not like when I'm struggling, I'm talking about when I've already been on the uprise. Like in previous CrossFit Opens, like this morning, I was telling you about this one CrossFit Open workout that I shat the bed, and then I took it as my entire life and my existence has dependent on it. And because of that, my entire self-worth has been dependent on it.
Anybody been there?
Yeah. Anybody been there, whether it's with regards to maybe a number on the scale or a number, some kind of number that you feel like your self-worth is dependent on. Okay. So after I moved away from feeling dependent on the number on the scale, for me, it's like, okay, feeling something of value with regards to myself based on a different measure. And when I felt like I didn't measure up to that measure, I sabotaged. So like when I messed up in that workout, actually, hold on, I can tell you which workout it was.
Okay, so let me jump in while you figure this.
So hold on. So
you don't know where it's at. I want to relate this to what you're talking about. It's going back to intermittent fasting, because this is what this video was about originally. When you don't hit an expectation that you have, let's say you slide off a little bit. It wasn't your plan. You ate outside your window and it wasn't something healthy for you. And self-sabotage. I'm not worthy, whatever. You step on the scale, having a certain number in mind that you think should show up down there, and it doesn't. And now everything that you've done that's good is completely invalid. And you're upset and you're in your head and nothing ever works. And we just go down this spiral. We want to teach you how to stop doing that.
Yeah.
Because it's not helpful. It's not helpful to help you move forward. It is impossible to have a positive attitude and a negative attitude at the same time. If anything is impossible, that is impossible. They repel. So when you're in a negative attitude, how much can you really expect to get better results versus when you know how to have a positive attitude? So in addition to just like the 4 steps to becoming a lean machine, by the way, text lean to 910, what's the number? 593-4899. There's also the mental and emotional component that comes with that.
Yeah.
And I did worse than I did 10 years ago. I actually got further last time than I did this time.
You did so good. We're actually going to upload YouTube videos of our workout.
So if you want to watch us do fitness for 14 minutes each. No, last year I actually got, or not last year, the first time I did this workout, I actually got a muscle up. And it was the first muscle up I had ever gotten in a fatigued workout. I was so proud of myself. If you don't know, with CrossFit in the open, if you get one muscle up, you immediately separate yourself from anybody who can't do that movement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's a lot of people. However, today I got to the muscle ups with less time than I did the first time I did this workout. And I failed twice. But I let it go. Because I saw somebody say in the chat that they were determined to get a certain score.
I think it was Beth Lewis.
Okay. But it applies to anybody. I was determined to get a specific score. I put so much pressure on myself for so many years competing in CrossFit, so much anxiety, so much stress, so much like over analyzing of every detail of every transition between movements and the time, the split times of my row pace and this and that, and how much rest I would take. And it was so stressful that I don't give a shit anymore. And I share more about that message at the end of my workout. But I haven't done muscle ups for like 2 years. Why would I expect myself to be able to just get up there when my heart rate is through the roof and I just did 60 calories of rowing, 50 toes to bar, 40 wall balls, and 30 cleans? It doesn't matter.
I want to share with you guys something inspiring because I just took this thought like one step further.
And you know what it has to do with? My intention is to be healthy and to have a good time. For me to have a good time, I relaxed more into it. Because I relaxed, I went a little slower. Amazing. I feel zero shame.
You did so good. You guys, when you watched Erin's video, she did so good. Are you kidding me? You did so good. So I'll tell.
But I still could have gone to the same path because I did better last time.
I'll tell you why I felt defeated. While my actions today are going to be different than a couple years ago, feelings take you to a place. So having felt like I fell short on my expectations took me to where I was feeling about myself and my body in 2014.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't care what you say about me. How I'm feeling about myself and my body today was exactly how I felt about myself in 2014. While my actions today are going to be different because I've played that game so many times that I will steer clear, you still go back to that place when you're exposed to that.
I have a question for you.
Like I'll tell you guys, I see myself, you guys, as so fat today. And don't tell me anything, oh my gosh, you're so crazy. Because This is my own experience.
It's relative.
And when you step on the scale and you feel like you're 2 pounds heavier than you had expected, you probably tell yourself that same thing too. But the reality is what I do now is different because I know that my actions is what's going to build my confidence tomorrow. I'm totally aware that it's in my mind. However, I share this because sometimes it's easy to think that when you're further ahead, like, oh, Erin and Suri don't experience that.
Like we don't have problems.
No, like I still go through these same things. Like today, I feel really fat. And that skin pain that I'm telling you about, I like it's all over. And like I'm feeling super self-conscious with my clothes, but I know I'm going to get over it because tomorrow's going to be a new day. And as long as my actions are in line, I'm going to continue to build trust with myself.
But let me ask you a question. Did you eat anything yesterday that would have made you bloated or anything like that?
I had raw nuts.
That wouldn't. Okay. It's not salty. It's not. There's no reason. There's no reason.
There's no reason unless.
Let me ask you another question.
Okay.
Did you do better this time than you did the first time you did this workout?
I did.
Amazing. Why does she feel like shit if she did better? I did worse and I don't feel that way. So the reason I bring this up is because it's all inside your head. You literally did better in that workout. Like you made an improvement, a measurable improvement. I, by the numbers, went backwards, but my win is in disguise. I'm not stressed about it like I would have been. I don't feel the same way she feels. My win is in disguise, but her feeling defeated, you would never think that she would have a reason to because she actually improved. But it's the expectation. It's the expectation. I also expected to do better. So I was kind of surprised. But also not, because considering all the circumstances, not having had rings to do muscle ups in our gym for the last at least 3 years, why would that surprise me that I have a hard time with them now? You know, and the win is that even if like your body's in a different place, but because you think a certain way in your head right now, you see
yourself as that person.
You see yourself physically. You see yourself differently. This has happened to me before too. If I ate, there was one day where
Can you guys relate to this? I want to know from you. Can you relate to this?
So,
and and this is why we say it's not about the weight that you lose, but who you become in the process. Because whether you weigh 125, whether you weigh 155, or whether you weigh 255, like if you have a certain expectation, right, that you're trying to measure yourself up against, and you feel like you either fell short with regards to somebody else or with regards to whatever your expectation was, then it's easy to get inside our heads. But the reality is, what are we doing in that moment? Are we going to prove to ourselves everything that we're not, or are we going to prove ourselves everything that we are? Right? Like this is what transformation is all about. It's about growth, and growth is painful. And this is why it's easy to be stuck, right? Like whether you do intermittent fasting, I'm going to turn it around now. Whether you do intermittent fasting, whether you do keto, whether you do anything, at some point in time, you will get to a point where things are just going to like be sticky. By the way, this is exactly what we're going to be talking about in the 4 steps to becoming a lean machine, because
text lean to 910-593-4899.
Yes. I see the number or 315. It doesn't matter how much you weigh, right? It's all about how you view yourself ultimately. And it is our consistent actions and the plan that we're on that, you know, and how do we, you know, show up whenever we hit the next roadblock that is going to determine who we come out on the other side. Because I don't care how good something is. Our bodies are great at adapting. That's what made us get here this far, right? Now, the reality is our mind trained enough in order to take ourselves to the next level? And this is what's missing with intermittent fasting. This is what's missing with the other things. And I'm not saying that they're bad or they don't work. It's just there's so much that goes into it. And what is it that you do, or how do you break through once you feel like you hit that spot?
The other part of it is the expectation with intermittent fasting. If you expect yourself to be perfect and then you're not, same idea, same thing happens, So I guess to wrap it up, first of all, get out your cell phone. Get out your cell phone if you're not on it right now. And if you are, I think you can still swipe it and send us a text message that says lean to 910-593-4899. I'm going to memorize it. And, so our own personal take on it is that for the majority of women that come into our community, it's not going to be the best thing, because there's just way more potential downsides than there are to potential upsides.
With regards to what?
With regards to the success in what your intention is. Mm-hmm. So, and this would be the intention of losing weight, getting in better shape, feeling better about yourself. There is a much better way to do it. And we'll talk about a lot of it in the 4 steps to becoming a lean machine. And again, remember, keep an eye on your email. If you have not yet already, actually, we're going to be sending to you from Emunah Strength. Wow. Support at emunahstrength.com. We're like really big kids. Okay. So, if you want to be sure to get the emails, I'll just give you a sneak peek. There's going to be workouts. There's going to be recipes. There's going to be,
Erin worked on it really hard. So she really wants to share it with you. Just like I'm really excited to share with you my experience from this past year that I've taken myself through.
Yeah. So if you want to be sure to get them, save this email address into your contacts in your Gmail or Hotmail or AOL or whatever you're using these days. And so that you can get those free resources. There's going to be no strings attached to any of them. I'm just literally making them and sending them. But they're only going to be via email because I appreciate you guys. And I'll be 100% honest. I want to rebuild the trust in our email. So I'm just going to send you some shit. All right. And it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be good.
You'll also probably want to create a folder in your mail stuff to save things in there to re-reference. Maybe there's something you don't necessarily need right now, like a rehab program for a joint you don't currently have injured, but something that you could use later. So I would save like an Erin and Sarit or Emunah Strength or whatever folder, so you can just start dragging those stuff in there. So that's it for today, guys. We're here for you, for your success. We're on a mission to transform the lives of millions through the same movement, nutrition, and lifestyle habits that have transformed ours. And we're blessed to be on this journey with you. So if you haven't already, text LEAN to that number on the screen right there. And that's it.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you there.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.